Local news at 6.
Have a good weekend.
On World News Tonight this Friday, 2 children are buried in Arkansas. We talked to the mother of one of the boys who did the shooting.
I haven't been able to sleep. I close my eyes and that's all.
The highway bill is overflowing with congressional favors. It is your money no matter where it goes. And the long wait is nearly over. Baseball is about to begin again. We'll take a closer look.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening. We're going to begin this Friday in Jonesboro, Arkansas. There hasn't been much to hope for there this week. When the authorities said today how many weapons they'd found with the 11 and 13-year-old boys who apparently did the shooting, one wondered how Drew Golden and Mitchell Johnson could have carried all the guns. The boys will not face any federal charges. There apparently is no basis on which to charge them. Today, there were 2 funerals. Our first report is from ABC's Dean Reynolds.
It was a bright, sunny morning as the first hearse of the weekend came over the hill and rolled quietly into the cemetery, the mourners walking past the tombstones to the final resting place of a murdered child. This was a day when families, when friends, when the whole town wept. 2 little girls were buried today, 2 more, and their teacher tomorrow. Virtually everyone today was affected, including the families of the boys accused in the schoolyard attack. An attorney for Andrew Golden said today the boys' parents are stunned.
They too cannot understand, and they too are asking why Andrew, their 11-year-old baby, is allegedly involved.
Golden and 13-year-old Mitchell Johnson are the only suspects. Today, Johnson's mother, Gretchen Woodard, spoke with her younger son, Monty, to ABC's 2020.
I haven't been able to sleep. I close my eyes and that's all I see is the people that have lost their daughters and their mother that they'll never be able to hold again. And there just is not no words from any of us. There anything anyone can do that will ever make that right again.
But as the grieving continued, more evidence was released against the boys, suggesting the attack was well planned and could have been bloodier.
1 Remington Model 742 30-06 caliber, 1 Smith & Wesson 38 caliber pistol with 2 spent shells, 4 live shells in the chamber.
It was an official inventory of firearms, 9 of them from pistols to rifles, found on the boys and in the woods where the gunfire originated.
I think it's fair to term some of the weapons as high-powered hunting-styled weapons.
Today at the funeral of one of the girls, a minister called on the heartbroken congregation to forgive the children who killed the children. There is no healing, he said, without forgiveness. Peter?
Thanks very much, Dean Reynolds in Jonesboro, Arkansas today. You can see the complete interview with Mitchell Johnson's mother and John Quinones of ABC later tonight on 2020. As for forgiveness and healing, it will be difficult. Here's ABC's Aaron Hayes.
We want to pray tonight for...
In the services here, you can see it. Parents holding tightly to their children, small touches to comfort and stay close. They are very worried. The children have seen so much.
Well, I'll probably remember it for the rest of my life.
I was just scared that maybe that they could bust out of jail and come to our house. Somebody that rode my bus got shot.
Lacey Baugh's mother says the first 2 nights Lacey crawled in bed with her parents is still shaken.
She heard a siren, and it would never have occurred to me that that would bother her. But she, was alarmed, and she said, "What was that? Did it happen again?"
Jared Nieswander's mother now tries to reassure him, teach him to watch for signs of trouble in his school.
Anytime, no matter who they are, whether they're your best friends or whatever, that you are to speak up.
I love you, Dad.
Mitchell Wright, who lost his wife, is struggling, very, very worried about their 2.5-year-old son.
I know it's going to be really tough on my boy. And I don't know if I know what to say. I don't know how to say it to him.
People have been filling the churches here. One boy Wednesday night sought out the church of Reverend Chris Perry. The boy was Monty Johnson, Mitchell Johnson's little brother.
And he shared that he feels very, very alone, very afraid, and yet after that our youth group rallied around him and affirmed him and let him know that he's going to be loved here, that we're a safety net for him.
A safety net they're trying to weave for all the children. Erin Hayes, ABC News, Jonesboro, Arkansas.
Going to be long days for Jonesboro. There's going to be a memorial service there on Tuesday night. In just a moment, we'll have the day's other news. President Clinton in South Africa visits the site of Nelson Mandela's personal struggle, one very small cell. And 6 Iraqis in a California prison. They say they work for the CIA. Why does the U.S. say they work for Saddam Hussein?
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Brought to you by J.C. Penney.
It's the Monday of all Mondays, and the last thing your busy schedule needs is one more wrinkle. But you're keeping your cool in Stafford's new Traveler Plus suit, only at JCPenney. It's a wool suit that resists wrinkles, stands up to stains, and even shrugs off water. So you'll always look great for your next big meeting.
Hi, hon. Slow day?
JCPenney, I love your style.
Now, save on the extraordinary Stafford Traveler Plus suit.
That the party of the first part did not intend for the party of the second.
I should have used Preparation H.
If you had, you wouldn't be suffering now. Preparation H helps stop itch and further irritation with a soothing layer of protection.
I should have used Preparation H.
Stops itch, stops irritation.
You can't be in this business and not love flowers. You know, we grow over 500 million flowers a year. We want big flowers, and that's why we use Miracle-Gro. Growing plants is really easy. A dose of Miracle-Gro every so often, and I guarantee you, you're going to have nothing but great results.
In South Africa today, President Clinton and President Mandela talked about a variety of issues today. They differed somewhat about some of them, including whether a new trade bill in Congress would unduly favor American companies doing business in Africa. But the two men do appear to have bonded. Mr. Mandela took Mr. Clinton to Robben Island in Cape Town. ABC's Sam Donaldson.
It takes less than an hour by boat from the Cape Town waterfront to reach Robben Island. But for two presidents today, it was a journey back in time to 1964. Bill Clinton was in high school, but Nelson Mandela was brought here to prison.
This was my home.
Sentenced to life as an enemy of the white-controlled state. But finally, after 27 years in prison, here and elsewhere, it ended in victory.
The authorities who were pitiless, insensitive, cruel, nevertheless failed in their evil intentions.
Thank God that the person who occupied the cell was able to live all those years in that way without having his heart turned to stone.
At 79, Mandela is frail. Although at a joint news conference today, it was not he who almost tripped coming down the steps. Whoops. No harm done. And President Clinton must have admired the way he took on domestic critics who had complained because, as president, he had met with Cuba's Castro, Iran's Rafsanjani, and Libya's Gaddafi, all men who had helped his liberation movement. Said Mandela to the critics,
literally, they can go and throw themselves into a pool.
Rarely does the President of the United States find himself overshadowed by someone else. But Mr. Clinton seemed not to mind today. In fact, he was clearly awed and moved by Mandela's story and presence. A great power is one thing. A great human being is quite another. Sam Donaldson, ABC News, with the President in Cape Town, South Africa.
In California today, a former director of the CIA has taken on a very unusual challenge. James Woolsey, who was CIA director from 1993 to 95, is going to defend, free of charge, he says, a group of 6 men who the government says should be deported to Iraq. There is a connection. Here's ABC's James Walker.
Former CIA Director James Woolsey says the U.S. government has a moral obligation not to abandon the people it uses for covert operations. He says his new clients deserve a fair hearing.
This case, at this point,
stands as really I think, a stain on the honor of the United States.
The Iraqis who faced deportation to Baghdad say they were not spies for Saddam Hussein, but agents for the CIA in northern Iraq during the covert campaign to overthrow the Iraqi dictator, a campaign Woolsey helped shape as America's chief spy master. When Saddam Hussein crushed that operation in 1996, an embarrassed CIA evacuated its Iraqi allies, 2,100 men and women, and flew them to the U.S. 6 of them were put in a California detention center, interrogated by the FBI, and accused of being spies. One of them, Ali Yassin Mohammed Karim, was a doctor in Iraq. He says CIA officials trusted him so much they let him treat their own officers.
I was the only one authorized to bring medicines to him or to inject him.
And Ahmed Chalabi, the leader of one of the Iraqi opposition groups which the CIA financed, says he's sure these men are not Saddam Hussein's spies.
They are mortal enemies of Saddam. He would kill them right away if he gets his hands on them.
At the moment, the evidence against the 6 men has been declared a government secret. What James Woolsey wants is to review it. Without that, he says, the men cannot receive a fair hearing. James Walker, ABC News.
In other news, the State Department has issued a warning about Americans traveling to Colombia. It would be better not to. This week, 4 Americans on a bird-watching trip were grabbed at a roadblock after a shootout between rebels and soldiers. Those are not Americans on the street. There's been a serious increase in kidnapping by both anti-government guerrillas and by bandits. That's the result of the shootout between the government and the guerrillas. When we come back, it is your money.
The nest is empty. Your work is done.
So powerful.
It's time to kick back and have some fun.
So agile.
You got the car now.
DeVille with the North Star system.
For who you are now, you're making whoopee.
DeVille for the time of your life.
Oh, look at you.
It's no mystery why millions of people have moved to the digital home entertainment of DirecTV. Because DirecTV gives them more movies, sports, and a variety of programming they just can't get from cable. So what are you looking at? If it's not DirecTV, see your retailer for a demo today.
Life's an adventure because you're over 50 and still exploring. So take the Centrum made just for you, Centrum Silver, with age-essential nutrients specially adjusted to keep pace with your changing nutritional needs. Centrum Silver, it's a great time to be silver.
Fibercon or Metamucil, both have fiber for regularity. But I like Fibercon better.
Same natural action of fiber, but only Fibercon contains calcium.
And with Fibercon, I get my fiber in 2 caplets.
Fibercon, fiber and calcium in a convenient caplet.
Great. Now, you know, the other thing we wanted to talk to you about was mutual funds that help minimize the capital gains taxes.
They don't exist, sweetheart.
Actually, index funds can do that.
Really?
Yeah. Some are designed to be more tax efficient. And given your long-term goals, it might be an option that makes sense for you.
I stand corrected.
So sit down. This is the one I was texting.
This is index funds here. It's a whole pamphlet.
We said earlier this week we would monitor the new highway bill. Congress is planning to spend more than $200 billion on highways and byways, and as we pointed out, a great many pet projects of many politicians. ABC's John Cochran has our latest report.
Quick, what's the difference between North Dakota and South Dakota? $50 million for special transportation projects. And South Dakota gets it because its congressman is on the Transportation Committee. It's even better being chairman. Bud Schuster got $600 million for his state, Pennsylvania, including money for converting this Army depot in his district into a research center for highway safety.
If a member of Congress doesn't know what's important in his congressional district, I doubt that he's going to be a member of Congress very long.
Republicans don't have a monopoly on ladling out pork. Minnesota Democrat James Oberstar got almost $80 million just for his district.
It is the king of transportation bills.
But Delaware's Congressman Mike Castle is not on the committee, and his state gets nothing.
What we are seeing here is modern highway robbery.
Not at all, say the bill supporters, who added another $3 million for a television documentary. The subject, why we need to spend more on transportation. John Cochran, ABC News, Capitol Hill.
The other numbers are a bit different. Economic news today, the very hot job market pushed personal income up 0.6% last month. Spending increased just 0.4 as more people put their extra income into savings. On Wall Street today, the Dow Jones Industrials lost more than 50 points to close at 87.96. On the NASDAQ market, stocks lost just under 5 points. In just a minute, winter is over and baseball is back. We'll take a closer look.
Vogue Eyewear by Luxottica. What do you want people to see?
I want you to see where it all started.
Growing up doesn't equal growing old.
I want you to see next year's trend.
Let them see you in Vogue Eyewear by Luxottica.
If you can do this, you can make wood beautiful with Minwax. And if you can do this, you can give wood lasting protection. Turning a house into a beautiful home is as easy as turning to Minwax.
With all the information about pain relievers, you may not know what to choose. Your doctor knows. The pain reliever they trust most is Tylenol. In fact, doctors have recommended Tylenol even more this year than last year. Tylenol combines the strength and the safety that's unsurpassed for everyday pain. For over 20 years, it's been the first choice of doctors and hospitals. Tylenol, the pain reliever hospitals use most.
Lately, we at Lockheed Martin have been lucky enough to work on some very exciting projects. Like the most advanced automated fingerprint identification system in the world. Oh, and let's not forget the missions to Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn.
Well, I was in the neighborhood first, and Dave came up to see how I did get such a good lawn. I went over and I peeked into his tool shed, and he was using Turf Builder. Dave's secret is to follow whatever I do. Any spot you look is nice and green and thick.
With last year's drought, our lawn still came right back because we had good root structure.
I would never consider using anything other than Scott's. I have the best lawn in the neighborhood. I think Brad has some nice spots on his lawn, but I think overall I have a better lawn.
This weekend, as so many of you know, it's the last great gasp for college basketball. And while the hockey playoffs will run on, as usual, almost to summer, tonight we are anticipating the opening day for baseball on Tuesday. How much of an event depends on a little who you talk to. Around here, some of the older types say that baseball is no longer the religion it was when they were growing up. Kids don't go in droves to major league games like they used to. Others say that the strike in '94 hurt the game, that the stars are unreachable and their salaries are putting the cost of going to a game out of reach for many families. Well, we'll see. And in a moment, we'll hear from one of the country's great sports writers. But first, about this business of money. If your team is in money trouble, you've got to do something, even if you are last year's world champions, the Florida Marlins. Here's ABC's Aaron Brown.
A liner. A year ago, the Florida Marlins were the best team $56 million could buy. They won a championship, they celebrated, and then, claiming $30 million in losses, the owner traded the heart of the team away.
When you look at a ball club, the only place at a major league organization that you can cut substantial amount of money off is the major league payroll.
So most of the Marlins' high-salaried players were traded. The only exceptions were those too old or too expensive for other teams to pay. Sport has never seen anything like it, from champions to this.
This year in Florida, we're not going to win the World Series, but our job is to entertain our customer and give them a good day's work.
In fact, only a few teams can afford the talent to win year in and year out. The Yankees, with a $70 million payroll, have a shot. Pittsburgh, which paid less than $9 million in salaries last year, does not. It is an uncomfortable truth even baseball's acting commissioner acknowledges.
In baseball, you need to have all your teams competitive. you want to have the fans in every franchise at least have the feeling that their team has a chance to win, and that economics alone will not eliminate the bottom 20 or 25 franchises.
Today, there is a modest revenue-sharing plan to help the poorer teams. But still, Chicago's Albert Bell made more money last year than the entire Pittsburgh team.
Baseball is such a wonderful game, it can survive even the fatheads who run it.
Not all of baseball's wounds are self-inflicted, and not all its problems are economic. Indeed, its worst problem may have less to do with big markets and small markets than it does with big fans and little fans. Major League Baseball is losing the interest of America's children. Basketball and football now get the kids that baseball desperately needs.
I think the game that you love most passionately at the age of 8, 9, and 10 is probably the game you're going to love most passionately at 40, 50, and 60 when you can afford box seats.
Baseball promises to market itself better to kids. It promises to solve the huge salary gap. It promises a lot, but so far the solutions have come at the slow pace of baseball itself. Aaron Brown, ABC News, Melbourne, Florida.
We do not know, of course, what sort of a season it's going to be for the Marlins or any other team for that matter, including the two new franchises, another team in Florida and the new team in Arizona. But as Yogi Berra used to say, if people don't want to come out to the park, nobody's going to stop them. For our part, we pay attention to Tom Boswell, the great sports writer at the Washington Post. Just yesterday, we met at Shea Stadium, out where the New York Mets play. Do you think baseball's in good shape? Is it fair to say that this is still a great American pastime?
I think that it was in wonderful shape 5 years ago, managed to stab itself in the back with the strike, and is slowly healing.
Is there anything different about baseball this year, do you think? Is this going to be a different season than last year?
Yes, thanks to expansion. I think you're going to see the pitching even worse, the home run hitting even higher, maybe Roger Maris's home run record broken.
So do you genuinely think that baseball is in the process of rejuvenating itself?
I think baseball is still in the beginning stages of rejuvenating itself. The first year after the strike, you had Cal Ripken's streak breaking Lou Gehrig's record. The second year, you had the New York Yankees winning the World Series again. The third year, you had 58 and 56 home runs hit by Mark McGwire and Ken Griffey. I hope that some of the really vivid teams like the Seattle Mariners and the Los Angeles Dodgers that have the fabulous international pitching staff go deep into the postseason, so the most interesting teams end up being the ones we remember the longest.
I'm very struck by how Major League Baseball is now apparently going after players in a very big way in Latin America. Talk about that.
I think one of the best things that's happened in baseball in the last 20 years is that it's branched out through the whole world. There are now 180-some Latin American players. Cuban players are starting to be included in the game. The Dodgers have a pitching rotation that includes Mexicans, a pitcher from Japan, from Korea. We have Australians now. That's one of baseball's real special selling points.
There is something very enduring about coming to a baseball park. It doesn't change out there, and yet it's not the most popular game in the country anymore. Do you think it will endure?
Absolutely. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think the purity and pleasure of the game on the field has not changed one bit in the 25 years I've been covering it, and I think the country will come back to embracing it again. It just takes a while to get forgiveness.
Do you have to have an appreciation for baseball history in order to like baseball, do you think?
I think that that's one of the nicest things and one of the things that pulls you into the game at different periods in your life. When you're 11 years old like my son, maybe you'd learn it because of the wonderful plays and the excitement of it. But I think you come back to baseball in your 20s and 30s and 40s as you have a greater appreciation of history. It's a sport that can grab you young if the sport will sell itself to you, and it also gets back to you when you're older.
What is it about baseball that makes it the great game it is?
To me, the essence of baseball in the ballpark is sitting with friends and talking for 2.5 hours. Not 3 hours the way you have to now, but sitting there and watching the game at specific moments when the game is interesting enough to pull you in, and then drifting off into conversation about your children, your lives, everything else under the sun on a soft summer night.
Tom Boswell. He's very good. Back in just a moment.
Ed spends his days creating harmony out of discord. Thankfully, there's Advil. Advil means freedom from headaches fast. Headaches to muscle aches. Advil simply lets people do what they love to do.
Remember when you wouldn't dare do this?
Take off my shoes? I've changed.
Nail fungus can appear as thick, brittle yellow nails.
I called Janssen at 1-800-NAILS-90.
Looks like everyone's following your lead.
Janssen Pharmaceutical, world leader in antifungal research.
Hi, I'm David Orrick.
And this is the fabulous Windsor Court Hotel, one of the top 20 hotels in the world. They use my amazing 8-pound Auric XL. And now you can use it too, risk-free. So you can take the Auric Challenge. Vacuum your carpet with your present vacuum, then vacuum it again with my 8-pound Auric XL. You'll be amazed at what my Auric XL, even at 8 pounds, picked up. Call for your 15-day home trial. Tile lifting roller brushes whirl at an incredible 6,500 RPMs. Its hypoallergenic top-fill design maintains professional cleaning power all the time. Call, and I'll also send you my Auric Compact Vacuum absolutely free. It's so powerful, it'll even pick up a bowling ball. So take the Auric Challenge. If I tried this with a lesser vacuum, I'd have to have my head examined. Call 1-800-454-4700. 1-800-454-4700.
You can't control Mother Nature. Experts report that weather patterns are changing fast, making it harder for anyone to say, a flood can't happen to me. In fact, in the last few years, floods have hit all 50 states. Thousands of victims learned too late that homeowners insurance doesn't cover floods, but National Flood Insurance does. Even weather experts can't outsmart Mother Nature. So call your insurance agent, or for free information, call this number now.
Tonight, a 2020 exclusive. The mother of the 13-year-old boy accused of the Arkansas shootings speaks for the first time. As the town of Jonesboro lays the victims to rest, everyone asks why. She may know.
2020 Friday.
And just before we leave this evening, a word for you golfers. Don't play too close to the sea unless you're prepared to share. At the Players' Championship today near Jacksonville, Florida, Steve Lowry hit a pretty decent tee shot on the par 3 17th, but he was going to get tougher.
It's the tee shot for Steve Lowry. That's a 9-iron, and I would think that's a lot of club for him. Yeah, that's going to be up on the top level. And that, well, we have a new hazard at 17. Look at this. I believe that's the ball of Steve Lowry, and this seagull is, he wants to take it home for a souvenir.
Lowry and Cooley and Fable just laughing.
Well, I think Lowry's indicating to the bird he ought to move it the other direction, closer to the hole for him. I mean, look at this. He's moved it all around the green. Now he whoop. Yep, we've got it. We have liftoff. Oh, no.
Lowry was allowed to put another ball on the green, no penalty. The Gull was denied membership. That is our report on World News Tonight. Later this evening on 2020, the full interview with the mother and the stepfather of Mitchell Johnson accused of shooting his classmates. And on Nightline, prison gangs, Ted Koppel's view from the inside. I'm Peter Jennings. We hope you have a good weekend, and good night.
Monday, the stock market's booming, but that doesn't mean you can't lose a bundle. What you should know before you invest your money on World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source. ABC News, now always on.